District School Board candidates. And in case you didn't know, the election is next Tuesday. The candidates are seated as they will appear on the ballot with Ruth Bell Greco, Tom Drennan, Michael Aiken, did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did.
Thank you. And Penny DeGarden. The ground rules are very simple. You put your questions on a card, and we have Marge Courtney, Liz Auerbach, and Susan Flugo, who will collect the cards, give them to me. No questions of a personal nature. Our timer this evening is Catherine Stenger, and she has a paddle here. And she'll give a 30-second warning, and then she'll say stop. I'm fully acquainted with run-on sentences. And so they will be stopped when I see the stop signs. The procedure this evening will be the basic ground rules when you ask the League of Women Voters to do a candidate's forum. Each candidate will give a 2-minute opening statement. Then we start with the questions, and they have 1 minute to answer the question. And then we close with 2-minute statements. In the beginning, we start with Ms. Greco and work our way down. The end, we start with Ms. DeGarden and work our way back up the ballot. On the questions, we rotate. We'll start with Ms. Greco, and the next question we'll start with Mr. Drennan. So with each question, one of them isn't going to have much time to think about it. We plan for this forum to take approximately 1 hour. Are we ready, timer?
Yes.
Ms. Greco, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Okay. I think everyone here knows me, but my name is Ruth Greco. I grew up in the Ritenour District. My parents graduated from the Ritenour District, and all our kids graduated from the Ritenour District. I work for the Department of Defense. When I first ran for the board, I did very much of the same kind of things that we do on the board, which is oversee the contractor, the defense contractors, to make sure that they're staying within the regulations of the contracts. And somewhere along the line, a few years back, I'm now a supervisor, and the people that work for me are kind of like a school district. I have the budget person, I have the IT person, so I'm always, I kind of say, well, I got all these people who are supporting the big office that oversees, and that's kind of what we do at the board level. The main reason why I want to run again is because I believe in my community, and I want my community to stay strong. It's a good community. It always has been, and I want it to stay that way. So children first, we keep that in mind, and always put them first when we make our decisions, what's right for them and our families. Then I think everything will work out towards the good.
Thank you. Mr. Drennan?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to participate in this forum, and also the Ritenour School District for allowing us to have it here. I just have a few comments about serving on the Ritenour School Board. I was first elected to the board 10 years ago as an individual, but right away I became a member of a team. I had the pleasure of learning from everyone on this board and the prior board members, such as Dr. George Alvin, Randall Schilling, Kathy Coe, and Mike Royman. I've had the privilege of being involved in the selection of 2 of the superintendents for the Ritenour School District, Dr. Cheryl Compton and Dr. Kilbright. Our current Board of Education consists of 7 members of varied backgrounds of education, employment, and family situations. We often come together with different ways of looking at our opportunities and challenges, but we always come together and look at the needs of the children first. We also understand as a board, I believe, that the difference between school board and staff. We believe in working on our goals and policies and letting our superintendent and staff carry out these for us. I'm always willing to defend my views on public education, but I'm also willing to listen to anyone's opinions, and I value everyone's opinion pretty much equally. I always like to look back at our mission statement of the Ritenour District. I'm going to read it just so I don't mess it up. The mission of the Ritenour School District is to ensure the learning occurs in a supportive environment that enables every student to think critically, solve problems, and develop knowledge and skills necessary for success in our diverse global society. Thank you.
Mr. Aiken?
My name is Mike Aiken. I am running for re-election. Those of you might be familiar with me that live in the district if you see me running up and down your streets every day in my short shorts and colorful clothes. I am a lifelong member of the Ritenour District, grew up in Overland, moved to St. Anne in 2006, so 31 years for me. I have 2 children, one of which started in the Early Childhood Center and now receives services through Special School District. I have another son who will turn 2 tomorrow, and he will soon be, in a year, in the Early Childhood Center, and I look forward to sending him to Booter once he's of school age. Right now, I am our governing council representative for Special School District. I also sit on Special School District's Public Review Committee. I'm active with our Pride and Promise Foundation on the board there. My Ritenour ties go deep. My father was a Ritenour graduate in '71. My aunts and uncles were all Ritenour graduates on my father's side, as were my siblings. I have both an MBA and a BA from Lindenwood in political science and nonprofit administration. And my objective running for the board, sitting on the board, is, keep Ritenour moving forward. We have a terrific district. I take pride in our district. My family takes pride in our district. And I was happy to have the opportunity and the time available to run in 2011 to help make that possible, to help continue Ritenour with the forward momentum. And I look forward to helping Ritenour over the next 3 years continue that forward momentum.
Ms. DeGarden?
Yes, I am, my name is Penny DeGarden. I am a lifelong resident of the district. I have lived in St. John since I was 5 months old. I graduated from Ritenour as well as my sister. My husband and I have 2 daughters who graduated from Ritenour, and right now I have 3 granddaughters who are in district schools, one at elementary level, one in middle school, one at the high school. I am currently at the end of a 12-year term on the St. John City Council, and I am being termed out, so we have term limits. I will be termed out in April, at election time. And I loved serving the community, and I have a desire to continue to serve our community in any way that I can, and because of that desire, I kind of moved it to the school board because I have so much interest in the schools. I love the Ritenour School District, and the fact that my grandchildren are in the school district. I'm in schools, weekly I am in one of the schools or the other, and I have a desire to continue the good job of the school board as a school board member.
Thank you. By the way, you will select 3 of the 4 candidates for school board. Okay, Ms. Greco, we start with the first question. What are your best qualifications suited for a board member?
Okay, I think one of them is having grown up in the community and having lived here all my life. I know, and my husband's the same way. I think that the history and the knowledge of our area and knowing the many different people. I belong to a lot of different organizations. And then the skills that I've learned from my pay job, because this is not a paying job, but I use those. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to critically think. And you always have to remember what your goal is and how to figure out what's going to be the best resolution. I'm also love people, and so I grew up with a family of 9 kids, and I always said that I loved it because you can't divorce your siblings. So when you meet somebody, they might remind you of somebody.
Thank you. Mr. Drennan,
Yes.
what are your best qualifications suited for a board member? Each individual will have the same question.
I think I'm a very good listener, and when I interact with people, I try to ask open-ended questions to encourage them to fully explain what their feelings and thoughts are. I'm a lifelong learner. I consider that a real essential part of life. And I'm outgoing, and I've never met a stranger, I don't think.
Mr. Aiken?
Growing up in the district, I believe my familiarity with the Ritenour district is of immense help to my sitting on the Board of Education. I believe having a familiarity with the people in the community, the needs of the community, even going as far as the economic climate of the community is important in terms of helping us make decisions. I also work for North County Incorporated, which is a regional development association advocating for the economic development of the North County area. So I think that experience as well provides me with the knowledge of not only the Ritenour district, but the entire North County area, which also helps me. I can take that information back to the board and see how it relates to not only the area, but what can we do with that information at the Ritenour level and not just at the community as a whole level.
Mr. Garden?
Yes, I have deep roots in the community. I do work well with people, all kinds of people. I do a lot of volunteer work at the schools at all the levels. I am familiar with all the schools. Well, I can't say I'm super familiar with each and every grade school, but I am familiar with school levels. And I have a desire to help our schools be the best they can be.
Thank you. Mr. Drennan, we start with you this time. The community is tasked with improving academic and professional success for the students. What do you believe to be the most pressing, vital leverage point that can help move us in the right direction? And what would be your proposal plan to accomplish this?
I think drawing on we have a lot of highly qualified people here in the district, and I think as a board, my opinion is to let them do their job. And our job, I feel as a board member, is to hire a superintendent and then not micromanage a superintendent. I think it's important for board members to keep in close touch with the community, the pulse of the community, what their beliefs are, and keep a two-way street of communication back to the community so that our staff can do the job that we charge them to do. In other words, the board does not micromanage the school board or the school district.
Mr. Aiken?
Would you please repeat the question for me?
Yes, the community is tasked with improving academic and professional success for all its students. What do you believe to be the most pressing, vital leverage point that can help move the district in the right direction? And do you have a proposal to accomplish this?
I believe the Common Core and the MSIP 5 standards that have been implemented and imposed on the Ritenour School District and all the other school districts have been done. They're well intentioned, but they come with their hurdles and their roadblocks. For us, it's about implementing a curriculum that our teachers can handle and can deliver to the students in an appropriate fashion that allows for all the students to learn at that speed and at that rate. I think it's a team effort with professional development amongst the teachers and the administrators. And it's about overall having a positive building climate in each of our buildings, because a positive climate is going to improve the capacity for learning, because the overall mood of the teachers and students is going to be much better than in a negative climate.
Thank you. Ms. DeGarden?
Yes, I believe we need to continue hiring excellent teachers so that we may keep educating our students in the best way possible. And I believe that it's very important to keep reevaluating our curriculum, reevaluate the way that we teach our students, and take a look at possibilities of, of other ways.
Ms. Greco?
I think that each school board member serves as a liaison between the community and the staff, and that it's our job to get feedback coming both ways so that we can work together to come up with the decisions that need to be made. We need to hire good leaders, but then we also need to look beyond our district and see and what's going on by the leaders in other places. This is a hard time right now for the world of education. And I've gone to Jefferson City, and I also went to the legislative breakfast to hear what Governor Nixon had to say, because there are big decisions going on right now. One of the great things that we've done this year is start the advocacy committee, and that's our community leaders with some of our state representatives. And I think by staying in touch with those leaders, that's what helps us. And we also have to be able to make hard decisions, because not everything works out the way you want it to, but you have to have the guts to stand up and make those hard decisions. And our job is to inform the superintendent and let him know what's going on out there. So
Thank you. Mr. Aiken? How would you handle a complaint from a parent as a school board member?
Complaints from parents are certainly taken very seriously. As Ruth alluded to, we are liaisons between the community and the school district as a whole. So any complaints from parents or community members are certainly duly noted, and if the concern is of a more serious nature, it would be handled immediately and taken immediately to a higher level. And if it's something that is more of a basic complaint or need or desire, it would be handled at my discretion in terms of who that is brought to, but most likely it would be a discussion that we would have as a board, and then we would decide if it needed to be taken to a level higher than that.
Mr. Garden?
Yes, I would ask the parent if they have, and in fact, tried to contact a principal or a teacher involved in whatever their issue is. And if they did not, or if they were contacted, if they did make a contact and were unhappy with the results, I think my answer would be to get their name and phone number, and then find the right person to call them to try to take care of the issue.
Ms. Greco?
I think first we have to listen to whatever the situation is, and we have to be direction givers because we have to be able to lead them in the right direction to resolve the situation. I think the most important thing, though, is that we have to show that we care about whatever they're bringing forward. The old statement that no one really cares what you know until they know that you care, and I really think that's true. And so you try to direct them in the right way, and then I always try to say, hey, if this doesn't work out the way you want, or even if it does, get back with me and let me know, because I need that feedback in order to be a good director of education. I need to know that when someone brings something to me and we direct them in the way that our system is set up and our policies, we need to know that they work the way that we have them set up. So they need to get back with us and say, hey, or I need to get back with them and say, yeah, it worked out, or no, it didn't, or here's how it went, so that we can always evaluate what we currently have in place.
Thank you. Mr. Garden, although it's been mentioned, what is your opinion?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, Mr. Drenner.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
Yes, you have, we want to hear your views. I'm
Well,
sorry.
to answer the question, my first responsibility to listen, open-ended questions, find out to the best of, I can understand what happened, and then ask them if they've gone through the chain, the teacher, the department head, the assistant principal, the principal, just kind of find out where it is. And if they haven't, encourage them to do that. And then I generally, if not all the time, let Dr. Kilbride know this is what someone said. Because we don't know if we're just getting the tip of the iceberg, or if it's, we don't want to blindside him, because not being an administrator, I'm a board member. And I want them, I don't want them to have every avenue of success to get the problem resolved.
I'll try to be more
Oh,
astute.
sorry.
I do it once every month. This question has come up, I think, in every school board candidates. And we start with Mr. Garden. What are your thoughts on the Common Core program?
Okay. Okay, I guess the first thing I would like to say is I think our education goes through phases, much like our clothes and our music. We've had No Child Left Behind, outcome-based education. Now we are using Common Core. Common Core was brought about to standardize what we are teaching our students throughout the United States. And my question is whether or not we are raising our standards or lowering our standards. And I would like to investigate Common Core more to learn more about it.
Ms. Greco?
I talked to a few teachers about what they thought about Common Core, and the feedback I got, and because when I look at it, just like Penny said, we do go through these phases, and somebody comes up with this idea, and then you do this, and somebody comes up with this idea, and you do that. And when I talked to a couple of the teachers about it, they said they didn't, because to me, and in the big picture of it, it just sounds like, okay, you're going to teach this, But what I was told was, it's not that they disagree, they just don't feel like they should be made to follow it. In other words, they are going to try to cover those things anyway in their teaching, but do they have to do it exactly this way? And who knows if that's going to work or not. It's the same as anything else that we try. We just have to, I really think, you have a caring teacher and a curriculum, and they know the kids and what they need, the kid will be successful.
Mr. Drennan?
Thank you. This is one case where I went to 3 high schools in 3 states. Chicago suburbs, Houston, Texas suburbs, and here in St. Louis. And having lived firsthand many, many years ago, the differences in education in different places, I believe it's important to have standards that are transferable. At one point in my life, I was offered a job in Greenville, Mississippi. And at the time, my children were late elementary, early middle school, and my friends in Mississippi said, if your child is doing 5th grade work here in St. Louis, they'll be doing 3rd grade work in Mississippi. And I thought, I'm not going, sorry, I'm staying here. But I think some of the controversies I think is overblown, but I think the end result will be good on a national basis.
Mr. Aiken?
I think what Tom alluded to there with the, you go to 3 different high schools or 3 different school districts in 3 different states. The goal of Common Core is to standardize all of that. So when you transfer from one district to another, you're in the same place educationally. And then for colleges, when they accept a high school senior from Mississippi or from Kentucky or from Ritenour, they're all going to be at relatively the same level of education because the Common Core has standardized that throughout the country. So I think from the perspective of the idea of Common Core, I think it's good. What you don't want it to do is interfere with the state standards, the MSIP-5s. You don't want to jeopardize our children's education or our teachers' time. So as long as we can implement it in a way that doesn't deteriorate from the other things that we have to learn and focus on, then I believe that ultimately it's a good thing for the school districts.
Thank you. Ms. Greco, we're back to you. Could you please describe your position on the issue of communities retaining local control of their schools?
Okay? I think it's extremely important that the local communities keep in control, because just like we're picturing right now, and we've witnessed this all the years that I've been on the board, when you try to bring somebody else in, just like they did down in the city, they're not familiar with the community. They think they know what it is, but they don't know what the community needs and what's gonna work. They just are brought in because they're supposed to be some educational expert. And I think what is really needed in local control is they may need help, but they don't need somebody else coming in and running the show for them. They may need somebody to come show them how to run it better, but not to take over. Community, local control is definitely very important and necessary.
Mr. Drennan?
I fully support local control for school districts. I think it's vitally important. I think that children can get a much better education. It helps create more of a sense of community. I mean, there's just in this district, the pride in this district is you can cut it with a knife. And I fully support local control. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Aiken?
I think local control is unbelievably important to the school districts. The ability to vote in your board members as an elected official gives local community members the opportunity to run and participate and be involved in the school district, and it gives the voters the opportunity to vote in the elected official that they want. You look at Normandy, for instance, their newly appointed state board, Maxine Clark sits on the board. Maxine Clark is very fond of education, a big advocate for education, but does she know the Normandy School District? So her sitting on a state-appointed board, does that really help the Normandy School District if she has no affiliations with the district, she doesn't understand the culture, the atmosphere? I mean, you can really question that decision. So I am certainly in support of local control.
Mr. Garden?
Yes, I also would be I'm very much for support local control. It's very nice to have a meeting, like say a school board meeting, that's within 2-3 miles perhaps of most of our students, and that you can come to and ask questions or just sit and listen and see what's going on. You could go up to the door of a school board member or call a school board member, and they live in the same community that you do, and they know what's going on. And I think it's very important to listen to our taxpayers, because many of them do not have children in school, and we need their support as well as parents' support.
Thank you. Mr. Drennan? We have the same question, only worded in many different ways, and that is, what is one challenge or improvement you would like to see in the Ritenour School District in the next year or so?
I'd like to see an improvement in the graduation rate. I'd like to see more parental involvement across all the schools. I'd like to see more participation in Project Lead the Way. And that's a big enough, that's enough.
Mr. Aiken?
I think one of our biggest challenges, you look at our free and reduced lunch rate, and it's quite high. And statistics will show that free and reduced lunch directly correlates to underperforming children. So it's not an issue of black or white or any other color, it's an issue of home culture and poverty and lack of resources. So if we can do one thing within the district that would help to improve the home culture, that would help to improve a child's living environment, maybe it's that the child isn't sleeping at night because they have to share a bed with 3 different siblings. and you can get them a bed of their own so that they can sleep at night. Just improving that at-home culture for the child to improve their success in school, I think is going to be vital to our district.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes, could you repeat the question?
What improvement would you like to see occur in the school district within the next year or so?
I think it's very important to have, involvement from our community. And we do have good involvement. It would be nice to enhance that if it's possible. We have, people that come in and help with elementary level students learning to read. They help in that way, and maybe more of residents coming into the schools in volunteer form would be nice. I do agree with Tom on, graduation rate. That would be something to perhaps, to look at and see if there's a way of improving that.
Ms. Greco?
In the time that I've been on the board, we've gone from having one high school to having alternative and to having the ACE program, and the one that's a little like for the different kinds of kids that we get. And I think that's really the most important thing, is that we have to have great relationships to understand the kids that come to us so that we can provide whatever they need. Mike brought up the free and reduced lunch thing. We've always been a blue and white collar community. My dad grew up here and he was one of the poorest people in the district. His dad didn't work, he was an electrician for a coal mine, and they went out of business, and his older brothers paid for them to move here. And you go to the Hall of Fame, and the people who are in our Hall of Fame, they tell the same kind of stories. Somebody dropped out of school, and Dr. Maui said he dropped out of school, went to work, and the principal from the high school came and got him after 2 weeks and said, hey, you need to come back to school.
Thank you. Mr. Aiken? Why is it important for you to be on the school board?
I am not a self-serving person, but I'm a community-serving person. I would not have gone to get my degree in nonprofit administration if I didn't believe in serving the community and serving the nonprofit sector and the people that needed it. I've had several events in my life that have put me in a position a position of perspective, and you realize pretty quickly when you're in a position like that serving yourself is not the most important thing, and serving other people is what's important. So having the opportunity to run for the board and be a voice for the community and support the community and the school district, the Pride and Promise Foundation, all of that is very important to me. And as is our credo as a board, and it's a board of 8 and not a board of 1. So we work together.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Yes, I am very much a volunteer person. I have volunteered in many ways just for years and years, and to me that is the most satisfying job, if you want to call it that I've ever had, is doing volunteer work. And I think that serving on the board helps the community, and being on the board will help me learn more about how a school is run from the other side, and instead of just being a member of the community.
Ms. Greco?
I think it's really important because I think you have to have the skills that will push the district forward. You can't come with a personal agenda. You can't come with what you want in mind to happen. You have to come forward with what's going to be best for the children. If it's getting them all the way, to graduate, if it's setting up a new kind of educational area for them, whatever it is they need. And so it's important to me to be on the board, just because I have a lot of history here and I know what's been tried, and I think we have to stay focused on the kids. And And if someone else comes forward and is ready to do that, you know, hey, that's great. Yeah, I think you have to have connections and know people, and I feel like since I've lived here for so long, and know so many of my kids' teachers and other teachers currently, I think that.
Thank you. Mr. Graham?
Prior to joining the board, I belonged to Rotary, and I still belong to Rotary. In fact, Randall, we met at Rotary. And Rotary's motto is service above self. And you have a bunch of like-minded people who are credo is service above self. That led me to getting involved in the school district, and it's just a great feeling. And I think through difficulties and trials in my life, I've been faced with good things and bad things, and I'm not afraid to make hard decisions. I'm thrilled to make good decisions, so I'm just thrilled to serve on the board.
Mr. Garden? How can the district attract and retain high-quality educators aside from salary and benefits?
Well, I think if there is good communication between the school board and the teachers, that is always a plus for the community. How can we attract people? You know, salaries are certainly up there. I think it's more a teacher's desire to help students, and I think if they feel communication is good and they can talk about problems or if they have problems or things they would like to see happen, I think they feel much more comfortable in working for that district.
Ms. Greco?
Well, when I first got on the board, we actually, for the first few years, had a problem with keeping our teachers because we weren't offering good salaries. And what it turned out to be was we had the people who came and stayed for a couple of years to get some experience under their belt, and then they'd go somewhere else. And so we did have to tackle that hard question. And even today, I know teachers that other people say, why are you at Ritenour? I said, because the pay is well. Nobody else will pay us that well. But even the pay wouldn't be good enough if we didn't have a good financial backing as a district, if we didn't have good leaders in the district, if we didn't have good results. The different activities are always looking ahead, the lead the way, the engineering program, all the many things that we have, that's how you get them here. You have to advertise the really pluses.
Mr. Green?
I think one benefit we have is we grow a lot of our own talent. A lot of administrators rose through the ranks, and I think the staff can see that there's opportunity here. And you don't have to serve somewhere 30 years to become an administrator. You can work up through the ranks, and I think there's a real closeness. Besides the fact that we're geographically in a small area, I think it's a very family type feel here. And I think we as a board, we may yell at each other sometimes, but we'll go to the wall with each other. And I think people realize that we're going to support them through thick and thin.
Mr. Aiken?
I think that we can retain our educators and administrators through a positive and transparent culture. Again, affording that teacher or administrator the opportunity to voice concerns that they have, voice ideas that they have, bring things to the table. Offering them terrific supports and professional development, and just in general making them a better person and a better employee. And again, I mean, I think Dr. Kilbride is a prime example of this. You know, you start off as a teacher, you work your way up to a principal, and then you're given the opportunity to run the entire school district. And that's not for everybody, but that's an opportunity that we like to afford our staff, because the more familiarity you have with the district, the better served our students are going to be and our families are going to be, because our teachers and our administrators are all going to be very familiar with the climate and the atmosphere of the community. And I think a teacher going into it knowing that that's the case is only going to be a benefit.
Thank you. Ms. Greco? Have problems like the Normandy School District impacted Ritenour, and how would Ritenour deal with it if it did?
Okay, they have impacted us because we're now serving some of their students. And if it continues the way that the state legislative, as they keep trying to, they're trying to do good, but they're really hurting the district. And if it winds up that they wind up going bankrupt and it's gonna affect everybody, because scores are gonna be impacted, and it's gonna bring, everybody's scores down. And, I mean, it'll be not just Ritenour, it'll be all the surrounding districts. And well, the best thing we can do is help those children succeed, and that's what we're doing with the ones that are here already. And that's what we'll continue to try to do, is help them be successful. That's our job. Let's help these kids grow and be successful.
Mr. Drennan?
I agree that I think the best thing we can do is treat them extremely well, which I'm so proud to say that we have, and help them succeed, because that's, the goal is education. In fact, when they walk through our doors, they're now Ritenour students. They're not normally students here, they are our students. And we'll go to the wall for them too.
Mr. Aiken?
There has been a plan rolled out, or a chart rolled out by Education Plus that showed the impact that the folding or collapse of the Normandy School District would have on surrounding districts. And it's without saying that virtually every school district in St. Louis County would be pushed to either provisional accreditation or unaccreditation if they were forced to take on the entire Normandy School District. So unfortunately, it's not a case of Ritenour really having a choice, because it's a Department of Secondary Education issue, it's a legislation issue. So as both Tom and Ruth alluded to, all we can do is accept these students with open arms, teach them as if they were a student within our district already, and not be on the same level as a Francis Howell or some of those other districts that show this really negative and derogatory attitude towards these students at their town hall meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon?
Yes, it's a fact that any students coming to our district from a district who is unaccredited can definitely causes an impact. I think the main goal for our district, our teachers, needs to be the education of every student, As Tom said, if they come here, they are Ritenour students, and we need to strive to educate them as well as we do the students who live here, and also perhaps try to ease a transition for these students coming into our schools, ease them socially as well as trying to educate them.
And this will be the last question, and it's a question that about all the forums I've moderated over the years. Outside of your school board meetings, and we start with Mr. Drennan, what activities have you participated in the Ritenour School District? Outside of your school board meetings and as a school board director?
Locally, I'm one of the founding directors of the Overland Business Association. It's been around for about 10 years. I'm a pretty active Rotarian. I do events nationally for Rotary. I'm heavily involved in the Multiple Sclerosis Society as a fundraiser. I do a lot of charity bike rides for them. I do several charity events for cystic fibrosis on an annual basis. Father of 4, plus 1, I got a bonus child. Work full-time, avid bicyclist, member of the Trail Net in St. Louis. We stay busy.
Thank you. Mr. Aiken?
Outside of my school board activities, I'm involved with some of the local chambers of commerce, especially now through my position in North County Incorporated. I'm involved with the Ritenour Pride and Promise Foundation as a board member. I'm involved with the Epilepsy Foundation, Special School District, Children's Hospital Foundation. I'm a competitive runner, so I'm still running and training to compete at a very high level, both locally and nationally. You know, and most importantly, I love spending time with my 2 children and my wife. If my boys are the 2 most important things in my life, so you know, any free time that I get, I like to spend it with them.
Thank you, Mr. Garden.
Yeah, so this was outside of any school activities?
Well, that might benefit the school district.
I was, for many years, one of the directors of a after-school program for, it was basketball, it was called Success Basketball. And it was started to be a low-cost, it was a low-cost program for kids in the district to play basketball after school. And it ran for 5 years in the district. We had a lot of participation. And I do work in the schools. At Marvin School, I do their box tops. I've done a lot of various school activities and volunteer my time for them. Also at the high school, I help out a lot with high school musical program. You know, just volunteering wherever it is needed.
Ms. Greco?
Yes, when all 4 of our kids went through school, so I was always a working mother, but always a room mother. I was president of PTO at Ritenour Middle for like, I know kids were there like 9 straight years, so I was involved every year there. I don't remember how many years I was president. I am the initiator of the Black and Orange Day that's held every year. That was my doing, and Operation Graduation, I headed that up a few years. I grew up at Stephen Memorial United Methodist Church, and I was served in many positions, youth counselor, go to Hope Now, served as a pioneer leader, and my husband and I do Vacation Bible School every year. Started the Good News Club at Marvin this year, which is a Christian club for kids after school. I'm currently serving on a committee at the School for Early Childhood for parents as teachers. I was the Federal Woman Manager of the Year 2 times for the whole St. Louis area, and I was always very active at the ABC ballpark. Those are the things I can think of right now. Sorry.
Thank you. Before we go to the closing statements, on the table are copies of voter guides. Help yourself. You want to take a few to work or wherever, they're there.
I played Banner for you.
Mr. Garden, we start with you with a 2-minute closing statement.
I would just like to say that I would love to serve the community on the school board. I have thought about doing this for a couple of years and figured that when my time on with the city of St. John was over, that perhaps I would try this. And if I hope to be elected, and if I do, I can show you, hopefully show you that this is a good place for me to be.
Mr. Aiken?
First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this forum on for us. Thank Dr. Kilbride and the Ritenour District for hosting. I'd also like to thank Tom and Ruth and George Alvin and Brad Thomas and Gary. I've had the opportunity to learn from them, and I think that's one of the valuable assets of our board, is that we've had a lot of experience. It's not a board with a lot of turnover. You don't have a lot of conspiracies and infighting and issues. It's a board that takes their job very seriously, and I am thankful to have the opportunity to learn from those people, because it's made me a better person, and it's helped me through my first term, and I'm hopeful that I'll get the opportunity to serve another 3 years for the Ritenour community as a Board of Education member, because this district means so much to myself and my family.
Mr. Drennan?
Probably 8 or 9 years ago, someone asked me at a forum if I had any children in the district. At the time, my children were grown, so I said, yes, I have about 6,000. I have about 6,000 children here in the district, and I love every one of them. And it's kind of like the wild world of sports, the heartbreak, you know, the good, the bad, the heartbreak. And this can be a very heartbreaking job sometimes, but still we come back for more because the good far outweighs the bad. And sometimes we get called on some very difficult decisions, but as a board, we've been called to do it and gotten it done. So we're just honored to serve again.
Ms. Greco?
Yes, first I want to apologize for coughing. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to keep it down, but just got this thing. Thank you also to the League of Women Voters and to the district. As a lifelong resident, I think our district is one of the most important things that this community has going. When you put all the communities together, it is the unifying item that brings all 9 districts together. In my tenure here, we've redone the teacher salary schedule. We've redone a lot of processes. We've increased the opportunity for children to learn from the technologically different, computers and all the different smart boards. We've had two new buildings. We've also started the Hall of Fame. There's just so many things that we just keep moving in the right direction. We're getting ready to enter some really tough times though, because we have people at the Missouri level and at the DESE that they want to do the right things, but I don't think that they realize the impact that it has to everyone. And it's so important that we have a solid board right now that stays up and works very hard to make sure that Ritenour does not lose out when these decisions are made, and we fight to make sure that everything keeps going. So I appreciate you allowing me to continue serving you because I really do enjoy working and making things better for our children. At one time we had 4 children in the district and that's why I ran, and now they're all graduated, but my daughter now teaches, she's a teacher, and I have a brother that's a teacher, and I just think it's so important to stay focused and be the liaison between our community and our staff, and then speak on behalf of the state.
Thank you. And thank you. The League of Women Voters was established more than 90 years ago to educate the voter. And I hope we did that for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the candidates will be around for you to approach them individually if you have individual questions for them.